The impossible 14 seconds, when two legends saved 200 lives at 34,000 feet. Imagine being trapped in a metal tube 7 miles above the ocean when armed men suddenly take control. Your heart pounds, your hands shake. You realize there's no escape, no help coming, no way out. This nightmare became reality for 200 passengers one autumn night in 1974. But what happened next defied every expectation, every probability, every logical outcome. Because sitting among those terrified passengers were two men whose names would echo through history. Two men who, in less time than it takes to tie your shoes, would rewrite the rules of what human beings are capable of under pressure. This is the story that was deliberately buried, the incident that officials refused to acknowledge, the 14 seconds that should have been impossible. September 19, 1974, Panama Flight 812. The date means nothing to most people today. No plaques commemorate it, no movies dramatize it. The history books ignore it completely. Yet on that night, somewhere between Los Angeles and Tokyo, reality bent in ways that still make no sense. The Boeing 747 cut through darkness at 34,000 feet. Inside, the cabin had settled into that peculiar airplane silence where 200 strangers exist together but separately. Some read under dim lights, others tried to sleep despite cramped seats and recycling air. Flight attendants moved quietly down aisles, collecting dinner trays and empty cups. Everything felt routine, forgettable, safe. Row 3, first class, window seat. A compact Asian man sat motionless, eyes closed, body relaxed. To casual observers, he appeared to be sleeping. But Bruce Lee never slept on planes. His mind was elsewhere, visualizing fight choreography, running through sequences for his next film project. Yet even in this meditative state, his awareness remained razor sharp. Every sound registered, every movement caught his attention. 35 years of martial arts training had fundamentally altered his nervous system. His brain processed sensory input differently than normal humans. He noticed patterns before they formed. He detected danger before it materialized. 7 rows back, aisle seat, a very different figure occupied his space. Muhammad Ali sat with a newspaper spread across his massive lap, but his eyes weren't tracking the words. His mind was in Africa, Zaire, the jungle, George Foreman, 6 weeks until the biggest fight of his life. The world said he was finished, past his prime, too old to beat the younger, harder-hitting champion. Foreman had destroyed every opponent with terrifying power. Ali had watched the footage, studied the patterns. He had a strategy, but tonight, on this flight, doubt crept in. His restless mind kept circling the same questions. Could speed overcome power? Could intelligence defeat youth? Could he survive long enough to execute his plan? These two men shared something beyond fame. 8 months earlier, they'd been involved in an incident at a San Francisco restaurant that resulted in whispers, rumors, stories that most people dismissed as urban legend. The details remained murky, deliberately obscured. Since then, they'd maintained distance, not from conflict between them, but because their friendship attracted a particular kind of attention, dangerous attention, unwanted attention. Attention from people who wanted to test themselves against legends. Bruce's eyes opened, not casually, but with purpose. He scanned the cabin, a habit so ingrained it happened automatically. His gaze traveled down the aisle, stopped. Muhammad Ali, 7 rows back. At the exact same moment, Ali looked up from his newspaper. Their eyes met. A subtle nod from Bruce, a slight smile from Ali. No words needed. They understood each other in ways that required no explanation. Bruce closed his eyes again, returning to his meditation. But something felt wrong. He couldn't identify the source yet, just a disturbance in the atmosphere. The same instinct that makes animals flee before earthquakes. His entire body was screaming a warning. Something was coming. 11:42 p.m. 5 minutes after their silent acknowledgement, a man rose from economy class, row 23, Middle Eastern, early 30s, dark jacket. He walked toward the front of the plane, not casual, not relaxed, purposeful. Bruce's eyes opened. From 20 rows away, he read the man's body language like text on a page. Hands in pockets, posture tense, breathing controlled but elevated. Another man stood, row 31, same profile, same dark jacket, same purposeful movement toward the front. Bruce's heartbeat remained steady, his breathing unchanged, but every muscle fiber in his body activated simultaneously. Ready. A third man arose, row 18, middle of the cabin. He didn't walk forward. Instead, he positioned himself in the aisle, creating a physical barrier between first class and economy, blocking, controlling. Bruce looked at Ali. Ali was looking at Bruce. 11:43. The first hijacker reached the cockpit door. His right hand emerged from his jacket holding something small and metallic, a detonator, the kind used for explosives. He raised it high, ensuring everyone in first class could see it clearly. His voice carried through the cabin, loud, accented, eerily calm. Nobody move, nobody scream. This aircraft is now under our control. We have explosives on board, 3 devices, 1 near the cockpit, 1 in the cargo hold, 1 in the lavatory. If anyone tries to stop us, I press this button. Everyone dies. Cooperate and you will live. We are changing course. We will land in Beirut. You will be released when our demands are met. The silence that followed felt suffocating. Then the panic erupted. A woman screamed. A child began to cry. People started talking, shouting, praying in different languages. The second hijacker reached first class, also brandishing a detonator. He shouted over the chaos. Silence, sit down, hands on your heads, now. The third hijacker, the one blocking the middle of the cabin, pulled out a pistol, not a fake detonator, an actual firearm. He fired once into the ceiling. The gunshot in an enclosed space was deafening. Panic intensified. People screamed, ducked, covered their heads with their arms. Next bullet goes into a passenger, the hijacker yelled. Sit down, shut up. Bruce hadn't moved. Window seat, row 3. His eyes tracked all 3 hijackers simultaneously, calculating distances, analyzing weapons, mapping the entire spatial environment. First hijacker 6 feet away. Second hijacker 10 feet away. Third hijacker 20 feet back in the cabin. 3 armed men, explosives allegedly, detonators, a loaded gun, enclosed space, 200 passengers, no backup, no weapons, no margin for error. Ali hadn't moved either, row 7, aisle seat. He was watching Bruce, waiting. They'd trained together before, sparred together. They knew how each other thought, how each other moved. They didn't need words. The first hijacker was pounding on the cockpit door. Open this door. Open it now or I detonate. The cockpit door remained locked, standard protocol. The pilots were following procedure, refusing to open it. But the hijacker wasn't bluffing. His finger hovered over the detonator button. If he pressed it, if the explosives are real, everyone dies. Bruce made his decision. No thinking required. Training took over. He stood up, smooth, casual, as if simply stretching his legs. The first hijacker spun toward him. Sit down. I said sit down. Bruce didn't sit down. He stepped into the aisle. The hijacker's finger tightened on the detonator. Sit down or I blow this plane. Bruce took another step. Now he was 4 feet away, close enough. The hijacker's eyes widened. Recognition flooded his face. Even in this moment, even in this crisis, he knew exactly who he was looking at. For 1 microsecond, he hesitated. 1 microsecond was all Bruce needed. He moved. Not a step, not a lunge, a flicker. His right hand shot forward like a striking snake, fingers extended. It struck the hijacker's wrist. Pressure point, nerve cluster. The hand holding the detonator went completely numb. The device fell. Bruce's left hand caught it in midair with impossible speed. His right hand continued in the same motion, palm strike to the solar plexus, the same technique that had dropped Muhammad Ali during a demonstration 2 years ago. The hijacker's lungs collapsed. He couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't fight. He dropped to his knees. The second hijacker reacted, turning towards Bruce, raising his detonator. "Stop, or I—" He never finished the sentence. Muhammad Ali was already moving. The second hijacker stood 3 feet in front of Ali. Ali's left jab was legendary. They called it the fastest punch in heavyweight history. A flash, a blink, invisible. The hijacker never saw it coming. The jab snapped his head back violently. Ali's right cross followed immediately. Textbook combination, 1-2. The hijacker's hand dropped. Ali grabbed the wrist, twisted with incredible force.